if a deal isn't good for both sides, then it's not a good deal.
You talk with so much passion about your father, and you can clearly tell that there was an unbelievable relationship. And, you've been in this family, the Laker family, pretty much along the existence of a lot of this. What's like the one thing that like you learned the most from your dad that you use in your life now?
It's about if a deal isn't good for both sides, then it's not a good deal, right? Like you can't, a one-sided deal is eventually going to either fall apart or come back and haunt you. It's just not the way to do business.
Yeah.
And my dad was a very fair man and didn't take advantage of people. And I carry in that tradition.
I love that. That was a fair trade with the Luka thing, I guess. I mean, it had to go there, Jeanie. You guys just got the best damn player at like 21 years old.
Look what we had to give up, though.
I know.
Anthony Davis, we won a
great
championship.
Owner. See, that's a great owner.
No,
I mean, backs.
Do you know how hard that was? We were not looking to trade Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Dallas contacted us, and he'd been making it clear that he wasn't happy, that he was having to play the 5.
Yeah.
He wanted to play the 4. So it sounded like he was unhappy. And so, it was a deal that both sides wanted to make.
I mean, that's a mega. That was a mega. That's like the biggest trade I've ever seen in all of sport, where you have two faces of the league swapping, and that's got to be awesome. That's so exciting for the Lakers to have another young, prominent face. I think that's gonna raise the Lakers even to higher levels because he's international.
I didn't anticipate the global impact it would have. I mean, I knew it was going to be a big story in the NBA, but that he really is a global superstar. And, another story that I'd like to tell about my dad is my dad was one of the best poker players, amateur poker players in the world. He was on the poker tour for a while, and in 1993 was Rookie of the Year on the poker tour. So he kept trying to teach me how to play poker. And I'm a terrible poker player because I don't have a poker face, right? Like I can't bluff. I'm not a good liar. And he kept trying and trying to find this. Like, Dad, why are you doing this to me? I don't like it. I'm never going to be good. And he goes, well, I'm trying to teach you something. He said, a lot of people think that poker is about, bluffing and, he said, it's not, it's a game of patience. And you have to wait until you have the cards. And he said, and I know you can get that part of it. He said, but once you get the cards, you got to be able to go from 0 to 100 in a drop of a hat. And he goes, I'm not sure you can do that. And so, when we traded for Anthony Davis, we had to trade all of our young players plus draft picks, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and draft picks. I knew right then that's what he meant. Like, okay, here's the moment of truth, Jeanie. Can get Anthony Davis, but you got to put your cards in. You got to, this is it. And, we did that. We got Anthony Davis, and that led us to a championship. So I think his lesson was learned.
Man, my dad's still around, but I still have my dad's head in anytime I'm making a decision, I just hear my dad like the same way, the lessons that he taught me. And that's touching that you still use it. Now, how big is this move going forward?
You mean the trade?
Luka,
yeah. I mean, I think we need to get the right players around him. I think we have it's very interesting to watch him play with LeBron.
Yeah.
We don't have enough of a sample size yet, but
New.
wow, this kid can pass the ball. Like, he sees the game like no one I've ever. It's I really had no idea how great of a mind he has for basketball. So it's exciting, but people got to remember he hadn't played in months. He'd been out with an injury, so he's going to have to like acclimate to playing full time again. And he didn't play last night. We played in Portland. We won, so all that part is good. But I think there's just going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our fans are already ecstatic, going crazy.
See Luka jerseys everywhere in Brentwood.
It's crazy.
You go down to the games.
Right, how fast
like, how do they make those already?
And I love that he wears 77, because we've never had, like, if he, was wearing 24, it's like, sorry, you can't wear 24. Yeah. It's retired. But 77, we've never had a 77.
He's got his own.
Yeah.
It's just, it's waiting to happen. Now, how does this move happen in the front office? The Mavericks call you. Are you sitting there like scratching your, like, how does this go down? Do they call the GM and then they contact you and they tell you what's going, like, hey, we got to.
The timeline started, just because you'll never forget that day, January 7th, the Lakers were in Dallas, and that was the night that the fire started.
Yeah.
So
Tuesday.
I was, watching the fires, but also watching the game. And it was, Luka was out. I think Kyrie was out. And, I'm like, oh, good, an easy win. Like, we can win this game. And, of course, the players were all watching their phones because they didn't know what was happening. Especially JJ, his wife had to evacuate. So it's like they were completely distracted from the game. And at that point, that's when Rob was our GM, Rob Pelinka, was at the game, and he met with the GM of the Dallas team, and they had a conversation, and Rob thought about it for a day and then came to me and said, here's something that was kind of talked about, a framework. And I said, well, I hope you told him that we're not trading Anthony Davis. Like, that's not, we're not trading him. And as then we talked more and more, we figured out a framework that could work. And then the rest went on. And I said, what's the most important thing is that if the conversations become public, it could blow up our season, because now you have a player who thinks they're going to get traded. It's hard for them to recalibrate. So you know what that's like. So it was completely kept under wraps.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it took everybody by such surprise.